Did you ever wonder what it would look like if a corporate teleprompter reader sat behind a mainstream media news desk and started dropping truth bombs about the pandemic? I'm not a doctor and I don't give medical advice, but it might be a good idea in this day and age where everybody's all fearful about their health to, I don't know, maybe boost your own immune system. So there might be a link in the description for you for something, I don't know what, that contains high potency ashwagandha, coenzyme Q10, and glutathione, along with high potency turmeric. And you might get a good deal on it with free shipping and all that. So check out the link in the description, and thank you, Ageless Body, for supporting this video. I don't know what you guys are going to think about it. I have an idea what you guys are going to think about this. This is from Sky News Australia. Listen to the words that comes out of this guy's mouth. I'm not going to do a spoiler alert. I really want to tell you what I feel about this guy, but I think as he continues to talk, I think you guys are going to know what I feel about this guy. Check this out.
Thursday, July 23. Well, all this coronavirus stuff goes on, doesn't it? You are writing to me in droves, all saying the same thing.
And just think to yourself before I continue with this guy. Imagine Brian Stelter or Jake Tapper or Sean Hannity or Rachel Madcow saying what this guy's about to say. Listen to this.
Stop talking about the number of people who test positive. Tell us how many you've tested. What percentage have tested positive? How many cases are critical? What are the ages of these people? What pre-existing conditions do the people have who've been admitted to hospital? How many cases are mild? How many have recovered? We're sick of the headlines. A registered nurse for over 30 years has written to me to say in desperation, this is government terrorism, medical terrorism, and media terrorism. They're genuine.
Government terrorism, medical terrorism, and media terrorism. Check, check, and double check. He's not done. He's not done.
And legitimately worried. Victorians are being told they could face restrictions until Christmas, as the Andrews government can't differentiate between those who test positive and those who are at risk. Now, if no one else makes the point, I have to. Peter Dunn tested positive. A few months ago, a young bloke who works for me tested positive. You're not about to dive into a coffin if you test positive.
And that's what people think. People think, oh my God, I tested positive. He's saying you're not about to die. You're not about to dive into a coffin if you test positive. If you are infected, infection does not equal disease. Infection, you can be quote unquote infected with something and not be diseased. Because why? Because your immune system is strong. It can handle it. It can take care of it. Even mainstream fake stream media says you can be an asymptomatic carrier. You're a carrier of it, but it's not affecting you. Okay, so if it's not affecting me, why are you locking me down? If it's not affecting me, why are you making me wear a mask? It seems to me that the burden of action should be on the person who doesn't want to get infected to stay away from those people that he believes to be infected, instead of that person asking a third party, namely government, to come in and force actions on somebody else. It seems to me that's the logical, moral road to travel. But the problem with mainstream media and government is they don't want to travel the moral road. If they did, they wouldn't be mainstream media and government. That's all mainstream media and government can do, is travel the road of immorality. And that's the road, sadly, that many, many people want to travel on. But check, this guy's just warming up.
And yet here we are, not 6 months on, being told we've got to climb an economic mountain. We didn't create the mountain. This was created by politicians and bureaucrats who have not forfeited a cent. And now the Federal Treasurer tells us we're facing a set of eye-watering figures, eye-watering indeed. A budget deficit of about $300 billion, gross debt heading to $1 trillion. It's enough to make you vomit.
Okay, now these are remember, these are Australian numbers. These aren't the U.S. numbers. If he was spewing U.S. numbers, it would be constantly in the tens of trillions of dollars. But he's just talking about Australia. But again, he's just getting warmed up.
Tony Abbott made the point as to what should have underpinned all of our responses to the coronavirus crisis, namely the extent to which saving lives should or should not take precedence over preserving the economy. Who's worried about the young people, 15 to 24? The Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe rightly says that young people have disproportionately borne the job losses and associated mental health pressures. What is the cost of that to the nation? Young people are heavily represented in things like hospitality, recreation, retail and the arts, while in no way minimising the loss of employment that has occurred across all age groups. For younger Australians, the crisis comes when they're transitioning from study to work. They've got no on-the-job experience. They most probably have HECS debt. They may well be paying rent. The prospects of ever owning a home are non-existent. And financial...
That's the same here in the United States. The prospect of any young person today getting started out who has no job experience of owning a home is literally non-existent. And the Federal Reserve Zionist international bankers have made sure of that. Even owning an automobile of any kind of value without holding a loan on it, or property, or anything of value, anything but fiat. And most people don't even own fiat, guys. I think I saw an estimate one time. It was upward. It was above 70% don't even have $25 in the bank. 70, let's say 72%, 72% of Americans don't even have $25 in the bank. 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 75%, guys. That means they're on the brink of economic collapse, microeconomic collapse. 75%. Amazing, man. People are in a desperate situation right now, and as the days go by, their situation gets even more and more desperate.
Pressures cause mental health issues. So does social isolation. Then we're told the pressure on the banks will intensify because a UBS analyst reported on Monday many small businesses will fold during 2021 when the stimulus is removed. What the hell does that do to our unemployment and economic growth? Deloitte Access Economics said earlier this week that almost 10% of the nation's businesses were at, quote, high risk of failure come September. Now, government...
Guess what that percentage is in America? 33%. 1/3 of all small businesses. I saw a number the other day that was staggering. Since this whole thing began, 337,000 small businesses have closed, never to open again. Supposedly the backbone of most economies, not just in the United States, but other countries, the backbone is small businesses. The backbone of the economy is small businesses. If 33%, if that's true, 33% and 337,000 small businesses have closed, never to reopen, the cascade effect, we haven't even experienced it yet. Have not experienced it yet. And you know the stimulus is going to stop one day. So what are they doing? They're literally erasing the middle class. Whatever was left of the middle class going away. People who have homes now are going to be homeless. They're going to have to foreclose. People who are renting right now are having to go somewhere else because landlords can't bear that cost. There's no way you could highlight, italicize, or overemphasize the dire straits that we're in right now.
Have been long warned.
Oh, Brian, you're fear-mongering. Man, that's just the truth. I hate coming on here every single night and reporting on these horrible, horrible dark times. We haven't even entered the dark times. The sun's still shining for us. We still have time to do something. But you tend to lose heart every time you go to the grocery store and people just complying. It's like, why the hell are you wearing your mask? Do you not realize if you just had 5% of the people not complying, maybe less than 5, I don't know, but if you just had 5% of the people just standing together and go, no way, man. We're going to William Wallace this thing. We're going to push through this thing. I am not closing my business. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to social distance. I'm going to do what I've always done because there ain't nothing new on the horizon. If there was, they wouldn't be fabricating numbers.
These would be the consequences. I'm not being wise after the event, but way back in April, I drew attention to the comments of Professor John Ioannidis, the Professor of Medicine and Professor of Epidemiology and Population Health at Stanford University School of Medicine. Would he know something? He made the point very early on, and I quote, if we'd not known about a new virus out there and had not checked individuals with PCR tests, the number of total deaths due to quote-unquote influenza-like illness would not have seemed unusual this year. At most, we might have casually noted that flu this season seems a bit worse than average. The media coverage, he wrote, would have been less than for an NB.
Do you remember this guy? This guy came out early on saying, hey, there ain't nothing new here. New caseloads, the overall death rate isn't rising. What's going on here? I mean, early on. John Ioannidis, or however you say his name, he came out early on exposing this stuff, and people don't listen to that kind of stuff because if you're not towing the party line, if you're not speaking the mainstream narrative, well, you must be a conspiracy theorist, no matter how accomplished he was at the Stanford School of Medicine. No matter how accomplished you are, all of a sudden, as soon as you stop saying what they say, as soon as you start disagreeing with them, oh, you're automatically a conspiracy theorist. Now they can just easily dismiss you. He's a conspiracy theorist. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Why are you saying he's a conspiracy theorist? Can you dispute his facts? I mean, he's coming with what he says are facts. Can you dispute that the overall death number hasn't risen? No, but he's a conspiracy theorist. I don't have to. We don't have to talk to crackpots. It's about as fruitful as talking to somebody in an insane asylum. Don't do it. Oh, so easy to just dismiss a critical thinker, right? That's why supposedly the CIA came up with the term conspiracy theorist in 1967 to dismiss critical thinkers. Just easily shove them aside, just push them aside. They don't know what they're talking about.
A game between the two most indifferent teams, unquote. Well, no one bothered to listen to him. They picked their own experts, advocating massive lockdowns and now this economic $1 trillion.
Listen to this guy. They're picking their own experts. Translation, the game is rigged. They're picking their own experts to come up with their own information so they can foist their own deception on the American people and the Australian people and the New Zealand people and people throughout the world. No matter where you go, everybody's social distancing, everybody's self-isolating, everybody's quarantining, everybody's wearing a mask everywhere. There is a pandemic. It's an epidemic of stupidity is what it is. It's an epidemic of fear. It's not a virus, it's fear. If you want to call the fear a virus, then there you go. That's your virus. Fear. It's the second plank of the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. They create or co-opt a current problem, influenza, slap a new label on it, wait for the fear-based reaction, and step in to provide the pre-planned solution that they had waiting in the wings the whole time. And nobody's any the wiser because people don't investigate this stuff.
A mess. We've got 625,000 deaths from coronavirus around the world as at today.
Watch these numbers. Watch the comparison. Watch how small this number becomes when it's stacked up against other numbers. Check this out.
But the deaths so far this year from communicable diseases around the world are 7.2 million. The deaths from cancer are 4.5 million. The deaths caused by smoking are 2.7 million. We have, Australia.
Nobody's worried about those massive numbers. It's like straining out a gnat and swallowing a whole camel. That's a biblical reference. You're so careful to, oh my God, don't let a gnat get in our tea. Don't get a little gnat, a little bitty microscopic bug get in our coffee, and the whole time you're letting a camel just slosh in your coffee. It's like the gnat is the COVID. The camel is the 7.2 million communicable disease deaths, 4.5 million cancer deaths, 2.7 million smoking deaths. But we got to worry about the microscopic COVID, man. That's going to kill us. We need to deploy all our intellect, and we need to deploy all our resources and bankrupt generations and generations of unborn Americans and all these other people from all these other places in the world so that we can eradicate COVID-19. Look how fierce that little microscopic organism is. You can't even see it. It's the invisible enemy, and you'll never know when you vanquish it because it's invisible. And you have to rely on the authorities and the experts to tell you whether it's gone or not. That's how come they can do what they're doing in New Zealand right now. That's why they can use New Zealand as the little case study for, oh, look, Jacinda Ardern, look, they enforced heavy tyranny on them and they eradicated COVID. So that's what we got to do all across the world. We got to treat our quote unquote citizens like peasants. That's what's going to get rid of it. We got to take away more of their rights, and we got to extract more of their income, and we got to plunge them deeper and deeper into transgenerational debt slavery. That's going to get rid of it right there.
172 people in hospital, 165 in Victoria. We've got 42 in intensive care, 40 of them are in Victoria. Is this a pandemic or an exercise in gross irresponsibility by the Victorian government? I said earlier this week, and I repeat it, why doesn't someone tell us whether the aim of the exercise is to reduce all risk to zero? So do we stop people from driving cars or motorcycles? Do we stop someone having a child or climbing a mountain or jumping off a cliff into the water? Everyone in a face mask, everyone to be tested, everyone to be frightened out of their wits. Scott Morrison says the Australian...
I love this guy. I love this guy. Yeah, let's eradicate all the dangers in the world. Everything that could possibly... Hey, you're going to get in that car. Sorry, we got to ban automobile driving. We got to ban people having children. We got to ban cliff diving and motorcycle riding and racing and BMX racing. We got to get parasailing out of the question. You can't do that anymore because we're so concerned about you. Oh, how about getting rid of cigarettes? Ain't going to do that because the tobacco industry, there's a lot of kickback there. Oh no, if you're gonna bite into the politician's pocketbook, wait a minute, we're not so concerned about death anymore now, are we, boys? 72,000 people die every single year taking pharmaceuticals as directed by a doctor. This doesn't include overdoses, and that's just in America. 72,000 people die every year. That's twice as many as die from gun death or gun violence. And I'm taking away the 65% who commit suicide. You know, like roughly 15 to 18,000 people die by use of a firearm, and they never tell you what percentage of that was justified. That guy was about to rape that woman, and she pulled the trigger on him and ended his life, and rightly so. But they throw that into the gun death, just like they throw, oh, he died in a motorcycle wreck, into the COVID-19 case. It's all number manipulation, man. Whoever's got control of the statistics has control of people's minds. It's like, oh my God, that many people die from that? Well, you darn right we need to take away AR-15s and AK-47s. I'm with Beto. Hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15s and your AK-47s so that we can keep you safe. How are you going to do that, Beto? We're going to enact gun laws. I know, but how are you going to enforce those gun laws? Well, men with guns will come to your house and make sure you give up your guns. Oh, okay, so you're really not against gun violence. You just want to make sure the guns are in the hands of the people that you approve of. You just don't want them in our hands. Gotcha. You're not really against gun violence. There's no such thing as gun violence. I'm just using their terms. But when you really get down to asking Bernie Sanders and Beta Male O'Rourke and all these people who are against gun laws, for example, what they're really doing is saying we want the initiation of government-sanctioned gun violence to come down upon you so that we can get what we want. And what is it that you want? We want powerless, dependent citizens looking to us for their daily bread because we believe we're gods. We're the political gods, and we will bring down laws from on high to keep all the little peasants fed. We'll keep them fed just enough and just strong enough to work at the grist mills to make us more money. That's what it's all about, guys. It's a transfer of wealth and it's a transfer of power. And those are the only two things that laws do. They're not out there to keep you safe. They're not out there to make sure that you have a good life. They're out there to take your power and to take your money. That's it. That's all they're for. And every single law is backed by the threat of force. Every single law is not a law at all. Nature has laws, the law of gravity, sun goes up, sun goes down, the law of, water, water seeks the path of least resistance. Those are laws that are observable, they're objective, they're repeatable. When a guy scribbles something on a fancy piece of paper and then adds to it the magical legislative process, that's not a law. Those are the opinions of politicians backed by the threat of force. Make no mistake about it, men do not, cannot, and will never be able to make any laws at all. So let's get back to this guy. Only two more minutes, a minute and a half with this guy. He's got some more good stuff to say. He ends knocking it out of the park too.
The economy is fighting back. Well, I suppose he's got to accentuate the positives, but tell that to the tourism sector. They say unless they get extended JobKeeper for 6 months, tens of thousands of jobs are gone. Victoria are now costing the tourism industry $146 million a week. The sector has lost $6 billion in 3 months. The construction sector, the home always of productivity and jobs, is set to lose about 140,000 jobs over the next 2 years. The building labour force faces an 18% contraction. These are staggering figures. JobKeeper can't go on forever. What is at the end of the road? All the government estimates this week say that business will have a rapid bounce back. Well, I hope so. What do you think? I'll tell you what you'd be entitled to think. With militant protests on the street, monuments and statues...
Okay, he's about to drive it out of the park, guys. Listen to this last 30 seconds here. This is fantastic.
...is being knocked down, freedom of speech being destroyed, people terrified to speak out, unhinged, snarling human pit bulls frightening the tripe out of people. Metaphor of all of this are the persistent attacks directed towards Donald Trump, a democratically elected president, and now a virus ripping the guts out of the economy. You'd be entitled to think there's an agenda out there comprehensively determined to destroy Western society as we know it.
And you would be right if you landed on that assessment right there, that there's an agenda to comprehensively destroy Western society as we know it. Bingo, ding, ding, give that man a prize. That's exactly what it's about. It's about railroading not only the American economy, but the economies of the world and ringing in a one world reserve currency. I'm talking about kicking out the dollar as the reserve currency, and everybody's going to have to use it. Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. Everywhere you go, this currency is going to have to be used, and it's not paper currency. You're not going to have cash. It's going to be digital currency. And guys, when if that happens, if we can't get our heads out of our asses long enough to stop being distracted, deceived, and divided, and therefore easily conquered, if we can't come together on this one thing to stand against and resist the one world digital currency, all bets are off. It's over. It's game over. No transaction will ever be private. Ever again. You won't be able to go to that yard sale. You won't be able to engage in that private party gun sale. Sky's the limit. Everything will be traced and tracked, and you will be monitored, and all your actions will be logged in the New World Order ledger. And you think, man, people look at me when I say that kind of stuff, and they think, man, you are just half-cocked. You have no idea what you're talking about. Guys, it's happening right now. It's happening before our very eyes. Coin shortage? Give me a frickin' break. There are only 2 cash registers in the Walmart in my town that accept cash. Everything else, you got to go credit or you got to go debit. It's all electronic. There's no more cash being accepted except on 2 registered in my small podunk town of Tahlequah, Oklahoma. We're talking about a population in my town of, on a high side, 14 to 15,000, maybe 16 when the local college is in session. It's happening all over the world. Coin shortage. And who says we have a coin shortage? Who says? Oh, the Federal Reserve. Oh yeah, we could trust them. Yeah, we got a coin shortage. All of a sudden the Federal Reserve says we got a coin shortage, and magically everybody thinks we got a coin shortage. There ain't no coin shortage. I cleaned out under my couch the other day and literally got, I think it was 83 cents. If everybody cleaned out their couches and their cars and looked under the seat of their vehicles and in their trays and in their junk drawers, you know how much changes in this world? Just in my household, in your household? Coin shortage. Give me a frickin' break.
Okay, before you go anywhere, a lot of people have asked me if they can get a shirt from the store with the design on the back. Let me show you real quick what you can do within the store as far as self-editing your own design that you can put on any shirt, hoodie, mug, phone case, whatever. Pick out any design from the store, then select any item. And guys, there are hundreds of items to choose from. Hats, beanies, bags, buttons, men's items, women's items, stuff for kids, and even pets. I'll just select this shirt right here. You can change the item color to whatever you want. Hit this little pencil editing tool right here and then click on Customize. You can enlarge, shrink, or reposition the design on any item. You can also click over here to the left on Designs and add any design you want. Matter of fact, you can put as many designs as you want on the front or on the back of the shirt. Or you can click on Text and add some customized lettering. With the lettering, you can change the font color, increase the size, and you can even bend the text. And check this out. If you want a design or lettering on the back or on the sides, just click on where you want your design or text, click on the design or text tool, or you can even upload your own design. It only increases the price of the item a couple bucks. And you can do this on any item that you select. The store link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Your purchase gets you a kick-ass design and supports the channel while it helps me create more content. Leave your thoughts about this video for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below.